Yeah, it's also like when you own the thing, right? Like when you've made the thing and it's your thing. You know, it was actually kind of strange for me being inside big publishing process with my memoir, like my life story. And it's like, unless it does these big numbers, nobody really kind of cares. So there's all this excitement, there's all this rollout, and then it's like, it kind of only matters if it goes viral. And
To who? You know?
right? Like, that's the thing. Like, whereas, like, even ever since I just started buying copies of them myself and reselling them, it's like, I care about every single one. Like, every single book I sign and send to someone, I'm like thinking about the person that that's going to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, these things that I make. Like, I have been selling these collars basically faster than I can make them. And it's so fun as I'm packing it up to think about. And like today I saw the name of someone and I recognize them because they interact all the time. And I was like, this is nice, right? And I'm always, you know, I was in the running to narrate one of these cult shows. And one of the things I told them that I think maybe they still underestimated was like, if I do it, like if I put my voice on this product, I'm going to be selling it for you for the rest of my life.
Right.
Right. Like, again, that documentary, once it moves out of its initial popularity phase, Netflix never going to care about that documentary again. But I'm going to sell it. You know, like I move 100 or more copies of Uncultured audio a week because I still care about it, because I still talk about it. Like, the publishing industry only cares for your book like the 6 weeks after it comes out, in most cases, if they care at all.
Right, because the industry isn't a person who cares.
And to be clear, like, I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity to go through that.
100%.
But, you know, this goes back to a conversation we had when we started, when I first got on TikTok, and I was like, this is who I am. This is what I've done. This has been my journey. And someone was like, okay, so what advice would you give to creators of color with that same journey? You know, and it was hard because I stopped right at, you wouldn't have gotten the book deal that I got because I'm white and you're not. And I was literally having this conversation with my 9-year-old in the car yesterday and explaining to her how like you and I can choose to invest in your book and go sell it and make it real. We can make a world where you have a book easier,
and I don't have to
through indie processes than through trying to convince a white man at a desk. And like, when I tell you, if I had said to a traditional publisher that I want to take this very serious book, right? And first of all, I'm going to call myself Knitting Cult Lady, right? They want to market a book with someone with a master's degree from Harvard who wrote this heavy research book. And I'm going to call myself Knitting Cult Lady. And I want a pair of custom knitting needles that look like swords. Like, I just can't even explain how that would have gone nowhere.
Right. In an industry.
And,
like,
and
industry
I want
just
the coolest quotes that we make product around to be Cults Always Promise Space Travel. This is Planet Gal, by the way. We're going to call her Saturna, and somebody is crocheting one for me right now. And she's going to be able to wear little earrings.
Activities. Yeah.
Everybody's getting into it now. I'm getting my community excited for space. I told you that the book party is going to be space travel themed, right?
Right. But so you're not getting them excited for space.
No. For dressing up in space outfits.
Right. It gets a little close. You're saying, that's a fine line. You're going to have to, because you're saying they love it. And then you're like, let's do that, So, but it's the joke. We get it. You're reclaiming space.
We're having a party, but we're not going to be actually going to space.
We're not actually looking up there for stuff.
Donald Trump got on his conference last week and surprised he wasn't dead, and he immediately started talking about moving the Space Force. I don't know if any of this registered for you.
Oh, I wasn't watching that.
So many people were just shouting like, "Oh my gosh, Knitting Cult Lady was right. Space travel."
Well, that's the thing, is it's always going to come back to that. For me, it's like, I have to remember that I've been saying this the whole time, right? It's all about whiteness, and people are realizing it now, and all of these things. Oh, it does have to do with race. I'm a white woman and I am actually a white woman. I don't know. Whoa, just like all the other ones.
Yeah.
And it starts to be like, oh yeah. And it becomes very blatant and obvious, just like the space thing, right? But it's like this, you wouldn't be able to do all of these things and think this freely and openly about it if you still had the goal of convincing. If it still was like a part of the process that you were going to have to make a whole PowerPoint presentation on why this is a good idea to some people, that's like traumatizing. I don't know. It's making yourself smaller. Then you start, it's a slow creep of commerce before what's actually happening in the community.
And you have to have so much more numbers, right? Like I believe I have put the same amount of investment dollars into Culting of America as Macmillan put into Uncultured. And based on the fact that I figured out how to sell my existing book to my own market, and I knew I could keep growing and keep going, I knew I could make these payments and make this investment. But I didn't actually have the numbers to show anyone that. Literally, right. Even my own spouse was like unconvinced, right? But I was able to do this. Like I was literally able to basically crowdsource my second book with my first book.
Right.
And I didn't need to prove that to anyone except myself.
Right. And the second you start to prove, I've been calling it to myself, the paradox of proving yourself. Once you start trying to prove yourself, to who? Why? What do you mean? You exist already. It's like within racism, Toni Morrison said, it's really, your conversations about it exist to exhaust you. And proving over and over again that no, racism is still happening in 2025 will forever keep, and it drains you, and it gives you less hope, and blah, 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 blah. It's, what do you mean? If it's something to be true, something with my eyes I can see, and now we're arguing about that, that's the narcissism at play. But like, so once you start proving yourself, now you've decided that someone else can disprove you, discredit you, and that it would matter if they did. And that would be the worst thing, is that they say, see, I told you you suck. What? That person doesn't know as much as you know about you and the future. Like, I knew this. White woman whisperer, gotta tell you, in hindsight, sure, it makes sense, right? To y'all. To me, it made sense. I didn't know exactly how it was gonna work out or is gonna work out. I'm still figuring it out all the time. But I know, I believe in myself more than I believe in a system to do what I think should be done. Because how many times have I said, well, this would be the obvious right thing to do, and it doesn't do it because it's an industry, and an industry is just abuse, but for reasons, jobs, justified oppressive behavior, job.
Well, and there's this thing I'm still trying to figure out how to say, right? But it's like, as long as the desired outcome is like making money or like human efficiency and like humans as products or capital, as you've been talking about, like we're going to keep doing this same exploitative thing.
Yeah.
Right. So someone asked me this about the military, and it's about the billionth time I've been asked this question.
That's a sign.
And this time it struck me different, right? Where they were like, well, can the military even be effective without being a cult, right? And I've always focused on the part of like, well, first of all, if that's your argument, then I'm not the bad guy for pointing it out. Second of all, we didn't start actually intentionally brainwashing our troops till the late 60s. And there's significant changes we've made that I think we could unmake. But this time I got stuck on, but yeah, if the only thing you're judging your military on is efficiency, which by the way means killing people better.
Right, because effective at what?
Exactly. Then
I'm
sure.
stuck on effective.
That's not how the modern day US military tries to sell itself. The modern day US military tries to sell itself as an organization that cares about the people in it, as an organization that takes care of the people in it. And so if you're saying that all you want is to pop out killers, then yeah, probably brainwashing them is the best way. I am here saying that maybe that's not the way we need to do it.
That's so culty, right? Like that just is when we said, obviously, military is a cult. Everyone agrees. The white guy who wrote Corporate Cult said the military is a cult. He said, but we need it. And then didn't question that at all.
It also leads to the question of like, are we only having to brainwash our soldiers because we keep going into non-justifiable wars?
Effective at what? We're not even questioning, it's this fear, this baseline of fear that white people live with of like, if we don't have it's this threat, right? If we don't have cops, what about when these people attack me? What? Then when they rob you, who are you gonna? And it just sounds like thugs. Like in short, we would hate for something bad to happen to you, and who would you call? Us? Well, then pay us.
Yeah, but also when you don't have a desperately unequal society where some people are starving while other people have huge wine collections, then you don't really have a lot of people robbing each other.
Right. If poverty doesn't exist, they don't need to get into your house for food. Okay. So that's like we could be questioning that, but whiteness doesn't get past that. There's still this, the cops are there to catch runaway slaves and not necessarily, and I think they were sold, and white people should dig into the work on this because I don't want to, but like people were sold that these were safety officers in some degree, that the runaway slaves were dangerous to your wives and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these are enslaved people running away from their capturer and in order to sell that, you should pay for us to go get these people, because also regular people could just do it. You have to sell that these are scary people who are gonna, and rebellion happened. There were violent enslaved people when they were violently trying to escape, right? Poisoning their people. So it's having a more realistic view of what's going on and go to the why. Military, why? Department of Defense from what? Defense should be a shield, not a sword and shield. Defense
which by the way, the current guy is changing to Department of War.
It's more honestly, because that's what y'all are doing. Right? Yeah. Because what is it for? And what we do is declare war, just like we declare. I've been, working with connecting this idea of white women and like boundaries and declaring them. And we just declare things. We declare bankruptcy. We declare war. It's happening whether or not you declare it. One, we declare independence. Can y'all stop talking for a second? Declaring and writing and defining and directing, and not just being. We're the land of the free. Is anything free here? What do you mean? We are free from other people's opinions. And that means even the people inside. So what you're not allowed to have, and I've also been thinking about mind control, and I think we should talk more about mind control as it relates to poverty. Purity. I feel like purity and poverty on these two ends of the spectrum. I would much rather be experiencing poverty. There's joy and there's honesty and whatever that's done to someone. That's oppression. Whereas purity is like suppression and repression, and it's just inside. It's just bad. You just or good if you control it. You only think good thoughts about this thing. That's how people end up talking to me and telling me, like, don't see yourself as a victim. What? So I'm not allowed to think I'm a victim of something? That's mind control. Toxic positivity and don't think that way. Yeah. That's a big word. That's mind control. It's not you're a robot. I mean, we can talk. In some ways, I do see it that way, but it's not the way we've been taught, like hypnosis. But you are looking for instructions and lists of labels and stuff. You're looking for what's good.
And this is why I've always been so very kind of bold about like, no, you don't get to tell me how to tell my story, and like even before I had like all the words and writings of like people who have done this before me and wrote it down. But like when I just got out of the military and was trying to talk about how like, this is hard. And that doesn't mean everything's immediately bad, but it was just like, people would be like, well, which one are you? Are you a disgruntled veteran or are you a proud veteran?
The fact that you have two categories of people.
Why do I have to choose one?
They need to know how to think about you, which means they are under mind control in some degree. That's what it sounds like to me. You don't know how to think about someone. You're having you're having experiences with them right now. And so I often would say, like, I would want people to believe in themselves more than they believe in the systems, more than they believe in the stories or whatever, because believing your experiences, the stories and the storylines and the romanticizing of harm is so harmful in whiteness, especially. Like, suffering is the point. Joy is bad, right? Like, you should not be enjoying your life because Jesus? I don't know. Some reason, right? Because bad, impure thoughts. That's my control. Only pure thoughts? What does that mean?
By the way, that is the way I casually joke about my life. I would be like, yeah, especially with my kids sometimes, be like, yeah, we weren't allowed to have toys because Jesus.
Honestly, that's all I got, right? As a Jewish person, and I realized it only, and that's like the big defining difference that I know between Judaism and Christianity is this guy, right? Y'all love this guy. I don't know much except you make him look very interesting up on that thing, right? And sins, and he's, he died. He's the son. There's lots of bad and suffering, and you should feel grateful for that and serious all the time. Like, and I, inherited some of that serious and like, oh, adulthood and being serious about stuff. I don't got time for fun. What do you mean? What is this? And I was realizing that I used to get kind of defensive, actually very defensive, when someone would ask me what I did for fun. And I'm like, maybe that's what white people are so upset about. Like, maybe that's the similar feeling of like, don't ask me such silly things like what I do for fun and enjoy and why I'm suffering every day. How dare you? But I understood, like, that's not the right reaction to that, but it is when I was in corporate America and such, and I'm achieving. What do you mean? What do I?
Well, yeah, because I'm not having fun, right? I'm not. I had a version of that where, like, I was probably, I think my baby had been born about 11 months before. So I was a new mom. I was still working in a corporate job, and I was meeting my friend in Vegas because I was going to run a marathon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was like, what do you wear to Vegas? And she was like, anything. She's like, bring anything you have that's like over the top, anything you have that's sparkly, anything you have that's like. And I was there looking at my closet, and I was like, Danielle, I don't have one single thing like that. Anyway, fast forward to now, the kid's almost 10. I have costume boxes everywhere, and I think I was thinking when you were talking, I was like, it's actually kind of beautiful that we've both made part of our brands being like, we are smart, but also goofy. Like, we don't have to be, I keep saying, like, part of what bothers people about me is I am proving to you that your brain works the same in a blazer or a bustier. Like, it doesn't, like, seeing all kinds of cleavage on me doesn't actually make any of this less professional, make any of the stuff I'm saying like less applicable to your life, change absolutely anything. We're calling this interaction going on here.
Yeah, we're calling the bluff of the caste system that says certain people are to be listened to and certain people aren't, and this is why, and this is how you know, and what. We're not gonna violate expectations in that way and not take ourselves seriously.
Yeah,
right. I take things seriously, but not myself. I'm just like, I'm a person. You're a person.
This has even kind of been my struggle a little bit with the like anti-cult industry. Is that I literally described that some of the big names out there have kind of tried to tell me that, like, look, I know it's your brand, but calling the military a cult is a little bit unserious, which I'm sorry, but I'm the one in the conversation with military experience. They didn't say that, but that is my roll up of what they meant. That like you're not going to be considered serious in the cult scholarship world if you stand on this point of the military being a cult. And you know what? Okay. Fine.
Who's the world?
We're going to
that
see
guy
who sells
who's
more.
talking.
And again, I basically am calling this bluff. Like, we're going to see who sells more cult books, especially cult books about the military being a cult. Because I think I'm right. I think I made the case. I have used their work to make said case.
That's the key. That's the key. It's right there.
This is how it's supposed to go, I think. See, but,
industry is never going to want...
don't like that, I think.
Yeah, they don't want accessibility. And the second you put industry in something, it now dehumanizes the relationship. And I think that's what I was going to say before about like you having to, not having to, but the way it's designed naturally is for us to humanize who we're giving things to and who we're, quote, selling them to. Because really it is a trade more than a selling, because it's like energy. You see these names pop up. I do feel like I have more than a parasocial relationship with a lot of people who follow me. Not everyone, but there are people who I've been communicating back and forth with in some way in the comments for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 years, right? And in a way that I know I trust that person. I don't know what their name is. I don't know what their actual name is. But it's that type of thing where I see each person more.
Like, so tonight, the book is going to get here. The first copy of the book, baby. And I was like thinking about this because I was like, oh, I can't wait to make that video, But then I was like, yeah, but is that weird? To make a video of like me opening it, my husband popping champagne, me and my daughter celebrating. But then I'm like, people have been in this book with me for 2.5 years. Like, people have been on this journey for almost 3 years. Like, and like you said, like I want to share. I feel like some of that joy is for them,
Yeah. And I think there's also the middle ground of you can record all of that. So I sit in the middle on a lot of my stuff. I don't share as much personally as I used to. It's not safe for me, but I record a lot. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it. I did get advice from Black women a couple of years ago, especially when I was being canceled, for speaking. That said, you should have so many books by now, or like you should at least have a book out by now. What you need to do is write, film everything, then put it out, make a documentary, So in my head, I'm doing some version of that. I'm still on TikTok a little bit. I still like the community aspect and talking with white women. Now I'm like learning so much just from the purity culture aspect of it, because I realize that's why I can't get through into pure, because I'm like, wait, you guys, your baseline way of thinking is the literal problem with everything. Almost like how I got to corporate America starts as a baby little egg in your brains that we share, but I don't experience that in the house as much, right? So I don't know. There's just a lot going on there within white womanhood that I didn't know about, find interesting, and I feel like can pull out of white women, because you don't know, I don't know, until you share with someone else who has a different, version of living than you. But yeah, so I was saying, like, you can record it and who knows, and that could be a part of a bigger thing. You don't have to decide beforehand if it's worth sharing or who you want to share. There's just so much room in there,
And there's different, like, I'm even like, I think that I could do a documentary of Culting of America and some video version of like walking through the chapters, right? And then there are people that are never going to read a book. My husband is people.
Right. I get, and that's why another reason I do
and watch an 11-part series of this book with me and be there 100% of the way. But like, he's not going to read this book. He's not even going to listen to this book. People have a lot of
trauma. Worship of the written word.
People get their ideas from different places.
Yeah.
That used to be my thing. Like, I used to be like, no, I'm a book snob. I'm a reading snob. Like, I think if you don't read, you're not intelligent. Yeah. And I really learned, especially by marrying a non-reader, that it was about ideas. We had a point in our marriage where I would say I was really starting my deconstruction loud and obviously. And he was still in the army. I mean, he was still, and there was a point that he like thought it was a problem. He was like, you're changing so much. And I was like, look, I read 60 books a year. All of them change me. I'm not going to stop. And I challenge you, and I was like, it doesn't have to be reading, but like you need to be ingesting ideas, new ideas from different places, and we need to be able to discuss them. Actually, one of the things we started doing immediately was listening to audiobooks together. And that gave us like an interesting kind of like shared language about things, like we listened to parenting books, we listened to anti-racism books, we listened to like the book on Harvey Weinstein, and it gave us this shared language. And then that's what I realized was important. It's not that like, I don't care at all that he's not a reader. I care that he's out there getting introduced to new ideas and new perspectives and then bringing them home for us to talk.
Right. Are you open to new information is literally way more important to me than if you read books, because he could be selective about reading anyway. There are men who only read terrible, terrible books. Like, oh my God, it's like the Bible. But the Bible's a book, and there's some really terrible stuff in there. And it's very complex, and there is a level of there is trauma. I had trauma around reading because it becomes a punishment, just like self-care is seen as kind of community service as a punishment. There's a lot that makes people not want to.
There's so much purity around reading in the US too. Because when I got to the US, I was like, girlfriend, I can read whatever I want. I spent 2 years just reading murder mystery novels. And people would try to be like, oh, what's up or whatever. And I was like, I read 250 books my senior year. Like, you can't convince me that this is not good for me. Just because like you want to control the content.
Yeah.
Right. And
mind control.
Literally, ever since then, I've been like, read what you want. Read what gets you excited about reading. That's what you need to read. Like,
but that's not ideas. Like we said, Joy.
Good books put ideas out there, right? Like, good art asks you questions.
Right.
So, like,
that's why they had us reading Greek mythology and Lord of the Flies and like the encyclopedia. They were just like, reading is supposed to be difficult and annoying, and Shakespeare and romance, but tragedy, and also names you never associate with real human beings. We could have read All About Love by Bell Hooks. We could have read an Octavia Butler book that would have gotten us much further. But the whole point is to make you dislike reading, I think, now that I think about it. The worship of the written word is two-pronged. It's like gaslighting. They're like, the written word we say is terrible. Like, Inception is a good movie because it's so complex, and English is so great to know because it's so hard and stupid. And just realizing, like, no.
And there's always been this kind of elitism around art specifically, right? That if it's popular, it can't be good. Like, if the masses enjoy it, it can't be good. And like, that has always really frustrated
That's me. Very anti-human, in my opinion.
I've always been like a pop art, pop psychology person.
It's not like other girls' art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's exceptionalism, art style. You just don't get it. You just don't get it. It looks like nothing, but it is not nothing. It is worth a gajillion dollars, because you just don't get it. Guys, you just don't get it. It's really important. Like, it's just a circular, and then you start explaining and then proving to this person, because they're so confident about that thing in the museum where other stolen art, like, museums are a whole thing. You're gaslighting us with this museum stuff, Europe.
And going back to your thing of like, it's because they don't want you to think, right? So I just saw this thing the other day that was like, when you first come out of a high control religion and you can't understand how you feel about art until you see what other people feel about it. And I was like, holy fuck, that was me in college, right? So like, I was a literature major, right? And I would read. I mean, I would read the book. I especially noticed it with poetry, right? Because I just feel like I don't get poetry. So I would like read it, and I would be terrified that some other student or some whatever would like ask me how I felt about it, because I had no idea. But then the second the class started and I got a feel of like what we were talking about here. I mean, I was like Hermione with the hand up. I was the annoying kid that talked all the time, and I had so much to say about these things. But it was like I couldn't. It literally was. I didn't know how to decide. I didn't know how to decide how to feel about something because I had never had that presented, right? I'd only ever read art or experienced art and then been told exactly this is how we feel about it.
Yeah. And then here's how you do that. Here's how you follow and adapt your thinking to this thinking. The second you got a feel of what's safe to feel, because you're scared. There's a fear. That's also the part to dig into is like, God forbid you have a feeling someone else doesn't have. Like, what if you felt different? You're not even giving yourself the option because it is too scary to be seen as someone different than the majority, because majority rules. Whoa, we took extra steps. But that's really, I identify with that a lot.
By the
too.
way,
like,
I started,
the answer is.
I subconsciously started doing this, but now I see it was just me probably doing my homework. So I started doing this thing where like the first paper I would write just like on a topic that I knew the teacher was going to love, be like according to their bias, whatever. And then the second paper I would write like the paper I thought they would hate the most. But then would still have to give me an A because I wrote a good paper, so it was like, I wrote all about latent homosexuality in Dante's Inferno for my very Catholic professor.
So you were code switching.
Or I wrote
You're writing, actually.
It's on masculinity in literature. And I wrote a paper on how Hemingway was the ultimate feminist because his like toxic masculinity characters basically die if they don't embrace their feminine side. Which is like not the angle most people come at Hemingway from, right? And now I see, I was just like,
I know nothing about these people.
I think I was just trying to, Hemingway is like toxic masculinity author, drink whiskey.
I've heard the name, but it,
shoot elephant. Yeah. Consider one of the American greats, but
white people stuff. Got it.
Yeah. But I see now, this was just like me understanding. Because we've been made to write our whole life, right? You had to read the crap from our guy and then you had to write a response, a reaction to that, right? Like that's what got me through testing out of grades of high school that I'd never done before. It was just like my ability to read something and bullshit what I know the teacher wants me to say is very, very high. But I had to learn how to like read something, develop my own opinion on it, and then go build an argument. And that's, I mean, to come full circle 20 years later, like that's kind of what I've done with this book. I've read everything people say about cults. And now I'm like, and here's my theory.
Yeah, you're writing it for you. So you're the new teacher, right? You're not doing it so that like, what would they want to hear? You're like, okay, me now.
Yeah.
What we were talking about in the beginning.
I read all the stuff you told me to read.
But you're also, the argument. You're putting all that energy that you used to put outward into these systems and manipulating or not, or what am I going to do this time, and putting it back into yourself. And that's why you're feeling so rewarded from it and actually then getting rewarded from it. But it's interesting that, so what really we could take from that also is our school system is built for cult babies. Our whole education, our whole path for success is to be a cult baby, a good one. You were a good, whatever, you figured out, you gifted and talented, just like me. I was gifted and talented, and I would say like gifted and talented at following the rules.
My number one skill was being the teacher's pet. That was my number one skill.
You knew what the teacher wanted. You could see the person in power and what they were asking for versus what they really wanted from you, or what the paper said versus what is just in front of you. Let me just take this piece of paper and it says to do this. I'm going to do this. You said no, the person in power. You had a firm understanding of who you needed to please.
Yeah. Well, and I used to teach this as a tactic. I'd be like, after every first class with a new patient on one thing they talked about. And like, I was trying to be as genuine as possible. Right?
Right.
But I was doing
like Mormon missionaries.
I was doing it because I want the professor to remember me. Like, I'm going to be the number one student in your class. I want the professor to remember me. Like, when I got back from my study abroad and some credits didn't work and I wasn't going to graduate, I had 14 professors offer to build me a course that they would walk me through to help me graduate, right? Like I was that student. And it was, so I say, like, I didn't ever understand getting an education in a healthy way until I went back for my master's degree, where I was like, I'm here to learn the information and do what I want with it. And it kept me from like taking dance and art and these other classes, because I was like, no, I'm here to get A's and get the degree and be the perfect student, right? And it was literally like, what if I took a painting class and I find out I can't paint and I end up with a C? My life's over, right? Can't do it.
Well, that's interesting.
And since then, I have paid many dollars for painting classes.
No, but see, like to me, it was just a little different, because I would say, what if I take this painting class and I could have taken a different class, and that would have been the one class that would have really gotten me the leg up, and that missing out on opportunities and stuff. To me, I knew I would get the grade.
And is that? I don't know if that's a neurodivergent thing or if that's another thing we're taught, because I was like, I know that the day I don't come to class, that's the day they're giving out the secrets of the universe. Like that was kind of how I felt.
Yeah. And I do think, that's
turns out there weren't any secrets to the universe.
But they do that in the cultiness too, because they're like, well, do you want to be doing this when Jesus comes back? I've heard that from some religion. I don't know which one, where they tell them like, everywhere you are, it could be that moment that do you really want to be in the movies when something, and I don't know, I never got that stuff, but I get the
constant
vibe.
Surveillance.
Yeah, your time, the surveillance and the like, or else, and you just don't know what, but it could be so terrible.
Well, and it also comes from this. It comes from this like binary thinking, this idea that like your life goes good or goes bad, instead of that like life is complex, and like,
or that you'll know either. Like there's this weird like, and then you'll know that if it had gone this way, it would have gone like this. And what it really is that you're going to shame yourself. Like you're just so mean to you. You could always, in that, which is what I started to do, is go, okay, well, if that's true and I could have done this, then I guess I'm just going to have to hope I'm nice to me at that time when I realize I messed up or something. But in truth, it's like we're not taught that. It's like, well, you got to beat yourself up now. So how else will you learn?
And, importantly, like we're not taught that the value of taking an art class is learning to do art or exploring potential. We're taught that it's getting an A. Right.
What are we there for? What are we in the building for? It's this manipulative thing where...
And this became a thing. Like I was dropped into a high school that had a big like AP and IB program. And there are some of these where you get more than 4.0 for your classes, basically.
Oh, okay. I knew AP, but I don't know what the other one.
So this happens with a lot of AP schools, where the kids that are focused on getting, so in my high school, which had 4,000 students, you had to graduate with a 4.2 to be in the top 10% of our graduating class. So like if you didn't take, so kids would have to get like an exemption from PE because there's no advanced PE to take. So you can only get a 4.0. So, and that's going to hurt your GPA and that's going to cost you Harvard.
The anxiety. Like, who even wants to go there? That's,
this is what I decided, because I have a very good friend, and who's immigrant parents who put him in the right schools, and he went to Harvard, and he's like, this is how it works in America, Daniella, like, gotta get your kids in these schools, you gotta blah blah blah, you got it. This, what I basically learned was for $500K you can buy your white kid's way into the upper class. But I was like, but I don't know if I want my kid to go to Harvard. I think I want her to have a childhood.
That's what we need to be really. It's very future, and you might not.
And
does she want to do that?
We went out to dinner yesterday, she and I, to celebrate the book, and she was talking about herself about, they asked her if she wants a kid menu, and she's like, she doesn't know, you know? And I was like, so I was like, oh, you're deciding whether you're a kid or a teenager. And she goes, Mommy, I am a toddler. Like sometimes I'm 2 and sometimes I'm, you know, and she just started going back and forth with all these things. And I just looked at her and I was like, I love that you get to be a kid. Like, I love that you get to be a kid and you're not here like worried about what people think about you or like what your responsibilities are. You're just free to be a kid.
Just be. And make fun and have fun with words, and you don't have to decide, you know, anything. That's one of the big D's I'm against. Defend and decide. Meh, I hate them. I'd rather you be instead of D. And she's like, I'm just being, you know. But I think that question, if someone had asked me, even, do you want a kids menu? I don't know what's on each. Give me one of each, and I'll just pick what I want. I don't know. Why would they ask for such a thing?
And also, you know, it goes back to this, like, what is all the pushing to decide? What is all the pushing to
because then you're moving forward and you have to, it's an escalation of commitment, I'm thinking. Because I'm also, think about the way questions are framed in Whiteness. Also, like, proposals are barely questions. It's the same, like, the whole, like, can I ask you a question? You don't mean that, because if I say no, I'm an asshole. So you weren't really asking. And if he gets down, will you marry me? And then once you say anything, it better be yes, or everyone's watching. Or once you say yes, now you've committed, or we sent out the invitations and da-da-da. Once you decide something, now it's the like foot in the door. You know, I don't know. And white people do it a lot. It's like, do we decide how we feel about this person? Do we decide, do we like this post or not? I can't decide how I feel about what you're saying. Calm down. Who is asking? Who said that? You know, who told you decisions were required from you? Like, the decision maker is the important person. I don't know. I think it's more important to just be in the moment.
Oh, who said you were in charge of this decision?
Right? You know, it's like, I agree with you. What? I've decided I like you. I've decided. White people. It's very, very, I think, white now, as I say, it's just like, we just move in the direction that pleases us, right? Like, we don't have to decide if you're racist or not. I get
this one all the time, and people think it's a compliment, but they're like, you know, I don't agree with you all the time, but this one, and I'm just,
I can't.
If you agreed with someone all the time, that would be very concerning.
No, why are you saying that? What do you mean? That is the weirdest thing that only, and it's a compliment. And you're complimenting me with this, and I'm not allowed to be mad about it because you agree with me this time.
If I give you a compliment, I don't want you thinking I like all the stuff you say. You know, like
it's negging. They're negging. They're saying you. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so cute of you. Like, it's just very. I don't always agree with you, but this time get out of my face. Get out of my face, because now I'm not allowed to say go away. I'm the problem because this time.
You said this time. You said
I don't mind when people say, like, it was hard for me at first when I encountered your content because I was uncomfortable, whatever. I used to hate that you made me uncomfortable, and now that I love that you make me uncomfortable. That I get. But the agreeing is so mansplaining. Like, if you're just talking to a man about, you know, what how you experienced your day, and he goes, well, did something, or he's asking you a question, or he's like, I don't agree that you should have. What? It just throws it into this position where, like, are we on an interview now? I didn't know we were talking, and you know what I mean? Because I've never. Well, maybe I have told you, like, I agree with something, but I can't imagine a world where you're telling me a story and I'm like, I disagree with her. I don't know, because what do you mean? It's not a part of the thinking process for me. It's just listening. This is what you are talking about. You know, with the experience I'm having, not where do I put you? That's that thing again, that which one are you?
And, you know, I had a very interesting polarizing leadership professor, but he said this thing. He was like, you never have to have an argument with anyone ever again. You just ask questions. And that is kind of what, because I thought about that and I was like, might be right? Like that's kind of what you're saying here. It's like, yeah, if I said something that made you have like a strong, do not like reaction, like I feel like you'd ask me questions about that.
Right.
Like, interesting. Why does she think that?
Right. We would be talking about it. There would be, because we would be, it's not like, and I agree or disagree is so conclusive. Ends like, what are you doing?
This thing I've been trying to put into words because it's so like micro invalidation, but it's like when you are in the business of predicting the future, so you're the intelligence officer or you're talking every day about what Donald Trump might do tomorrow, right? And then people come back and they're like, oh my gosh, you were right about this and that and blah. And it's like, you notice it as the intelligence officer a lot because everyone in the unit treats you like you're some kind of spooky, like you're a little bit spooky. And not that this is just your job and you actually know more about this than everyone else. Like, because I have all these perspectives, I know more about what is going on than people that don't have these perspectives. And that's why I've mostly been right about calling, like this administration. And it's just like,
why aren't we believing people first? Like, why aren't you believing this?
And it's the believing, but also the like, I'm like, yeah, if you predicted what like white women were going to do over the night, if I was like part of your platform, I would be like, yeah, she's going to get this right. This is going to be hilarious because like, this is what you do for a living.
Right.
And it's just like, it's always, and maybe that's the neurodivergence where I'm just like, but yeah, if you did this, and also being in the army, right? Like every military job is made so that anybody with equal like training and time in the job can do this job, right? So then it was always so weird to me that we act like there's this hierarchy of jobs, and it was always like, oh, the intelligence officer always thinks she's smarter than everyone, and it's like, the intelligence officer is the one standing up there speaking all the time.
Has authority on this thing. Yeah. Like we're not
and that was
putting
like
it
the
in
thing
place.
I would have to teach my analysts, where I would be like, yes, you're an 18-year-old private. Yes, that person's a colonel, but you're the expert on the bad guy, and he needs that information from you, right? So it's like, you're the expert. You're speaking because you're the expert. And that's what I'm trying to say. I feel like we've lost that. And
because they value the hierarchy.
Influencers and content creators and like people don't know the difference. But it's just like,
white people.
I'm not here talking to the internet for fun. I'm here talking because I have things to teach people that a lot of people don't know.
Right. And because you're white and not in uniform, they see you and them as equal people, right? Because they identify with you, but it is dehumanizing in a different way. They never identify with me or expect me to whatever. They see you do it right, and they're like, but what could I could never. Oh, it like does a weird, it's a different type of expectation violation. But like other people, Black people, other people of the global majority will know why you're here, right? But nobody listens to us. I know that what you're doing is great. That's why I reached out to you. Right. I can take the context also better than white people are so zoomed in, right? I can see the background, what you've done, what you've chosen to do now, which is a big way I knew what we were doing, right? You had seen my stuff. There is so much context I am taking in that you don't have to tell me. But in whiteness, it seems like unless you say it or announce it, we don't know, could be. We don't know which way they're going to go. Black people are usually never surprised when a white person ends up being problematic. I'm not waiting for the day you go off and whatever. We can see things. I can see things. I knew Knitting Cult Lady wasn't going to just randomly be like, oh, and then double down and triple down. Because one, you listen to me, we talk to each other. Like there's just so much pattern recognition that is just baseline in Black women and Black people that we have to have. So we are experts in white people. But no one sees us as that. But with you, it's like they identify with you and give you benefit of the doubt, but also expect what they would do from you. And you push back against that by showing and wearing colors and doing your own thing and being a little unexpected in how you respond and not going catastrophe mode. Maybe because you listen to Black women, but I'm always going to be proud of that. Anytime people comment on the video, I talk about you and they're like, she, whatever. I'm like, anytime they say, well, she's just not giving in to we got to give up, we got to freak out, we got to whatever. I'm always just like, give myself a little pat on the shoulder. And I'm just, even if it has nothing to do with me, that's what I like to just remember. It's like, no, see, I know what I'm talking about. It's validation for me that I am credible, right? I understand white women come in different fonts. Doesn't mean I understand why or where or stuff. Like, I don't know much about purity culture. That's not my brand. But I do know that there are different brands.
But it's like, you don't, when you're the expert, right? Like I always tell people, like, no, I don't have to know individual cult theories to know that I'm going to find XYZ. Like,
I'm not going to be surprised at tactics or like, and then she cried. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
I'm not shocked, right? And then she defended herself by whatever. And you see, especially a lot of white women, I've noticed there's a bit of a humiliation ritual going on the internet where white women show these things their husbands do that are kind of terrible. And then she's like, he packed me dog food for lunch. Oh, he's just making a joke. And then people on the internet are like, hey, girl, that wasn't based on this thing. Whatever. This is actually kind of showing passive violence. And then she comes back on the internet to go, you guys just don't understand. Well, here's a list of things he did for me that are nice. And it's like a pattern that you just keep seeing these women do. I saw a Black woman on the internet say, hey, these women aren't a cult. They're just showing each other their pet partner. And they're just like, hey, look at mine is stupid. Yours is stupid. And then when we come in and go, hey, that pet is destroying your house. You may need to do something about it. They're just like, Blacks, you don't know. Anyway, my husband, he's so great because whatever, but it's this commonality that they wanted you separate from Black people because Black people we don't do those things, right? We'll go, what? And we're just not afraid of certain, like, there's so much silence in language. I was just thinking about the fact that there's a lot of Black girls in their hoods whose nickname is Fat, but it's not because they're fat. It's just like their name is Fat. And it's just lingo. So, and like that would never happen in white culture. Like that would be a terrible, terrible thing. Nicknames are only for like scary, bad, I notice you, and that's a dangerous thing. You have red hair, we're gonna call you something that says, we see you, red hair, and it's scary. Yeah, a lot of times someone who has a nickname Fat, it just came from maybe they were like a fat baby or something, and but they don't internalize that. It's not a purity thing or like I gotta get,
Well, yeah, because that's only if you have fat as bad, right? Like that's part of the problem. It's like, well, if bodies come in hierarchies, which is very much part of whiteness, then like, yeah, that's a mean nickname.
And the cultiness of being skinny of it all, like skinny. I can't unhear skinny as just like skin. But skinny. You're just like, they want you skin, bones and skin. Why would they want you like that? Why would anyone who loves you want you like that? In Black communities, if you lose weight too fast, we're concerned for you. You're probably sick. You go on drugs or something. That's a concern, and we're going to mention it. Not tell you look great. That's it. That's whiteness in America. Like, that's it right there. That's America. You look great.
I very much experienced the dissonance of this when I lost 30 pounds writing my book. And so I was about, 30. No, that's about 40 pounds, 40 or 50 pounds lighter than I am now. And I was being rewarded. I looked so great, and I was being checked for all the forms of cancer. Right. And just like, I was like, these two things are not good,
How can that ever be? Right. That is not a sign of health at all in any indication of human existence.
Right.
And I remember learning when I was really young that like, in certain parts of the world or at certain times, women who were bigger were considered more beautiful because it meant they had food and money. And the second I heard that, I was like, so this is all bullshit. Got it. Like, this doesn't matter. It just It can be anything. Because I remember thinking, so everyone just agrees that they all like this one thing. My brain wasn't computing, especially because I didn't see that one thing around. And I wasn't anywhere near it, and people still said I was beautiful. So that's very confusing as well. And my brother and all that stuff. There's just the whole gamut of experiences that tell you to deny your own reality. And I feel like that's also like the system sets you up for psychosis, white people. Like you're just supposed to deny what is. Your body hurts and people are saying this is great. And there are people who are doing it with love in their eyes or something. I don't know. Because they believe it. It's so terrifying. And when I want white people to talk about race, it's like, this is what I'm saying. I am not saying talk about racism that happens to Black people. I am saying talk about your experiences with whiteness. It's just, you just don't know it's whiteness because you think everyone or no one. I'm a little confused about that because they're like, everyone has the same experiences. No one understands my experiences at the same time. You're just like, no one would get me. You have no idea. But everyone goes through this. Which one is it? Which one is it? And if it's everyone goes through this, I think we need to talk about that. Why is that okay? Whose control is it? When will it stop? And I often, I don't know how this connects, but I feel like it's really been sitting with me these videos of when a man does a period simulator. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, the ones that really strike me are when I see a man watching, or like after he's done it or he's doing it and the woman is doing it after him and he doesn't believe it's on for her because what he just experienced was so painful, right? And then when it goes on her and she's showing like, no, yeah, this is average for me, this is nothing. There's multiple videos of men getting angry, looking like disbelieving that the thing is on, that it's not on 3, it's not on the right place on her body. No, you're not getting it. It's not on. There's so much denial going on when it's right in front of his face. Why are we expecting these men to do anything? To me, I'm like, and I do say white women are the men of women, and I think there's some room there for white women to take that and go like, what am I not believe? Like, how hard do you have to work to deny someone else? And what does it say he thinks about? It was this last one I saw was wife and daughter. And he said, okay, but so because he's always saying we're complaining about this. He's bitching that we're lying or something. And then at the end, when it goes on the mother and the daughter, he goes, okay, but just don't be lying to me about whatever. It didn't change anything. He still believes. The problem is that he believed they were lying in the first place.
Right.
That they were manipulating him when they why do you need to put it on these men? For them to think that that's going to be the thing. It's almost like showing Black trauma. That's what it is.
Yeah, like that's going to make them change. No, they're just going to be like, well, they've been doing it this whole time, so they can work right through it.
Right. Oh, so you don't experience them now, so get to it. So we'll worry about it next time you get them, and then I'll believe you more. That's not it's the I agree with you thing. The problem is that you think we're here at the same level when I'm sharing my knowledge and you're just listening to it. That you get to agree or not, raise your hand to be like, I agree. You just write the notes, okay? Take your notes, take it home, tell it to someone else. But that's the connection. It's like you think that if he experiences the pain once, that'll be the thing. If we protest, we tell them we're really angry, if they feel it in their pockets, that will be the thing that changes the system. 3.5%, whatever the thing is you think. It's not the fact that you are trying to prove it. Back to the paradox of proving yourself. Right?
Yeah.
The fact that you are sitting here trying to say, no, see, you've already gone down a road of disrespecting yourself, to be honest. Yeah. In a way. Yeah. I don't want to say that for all the period simulator people, but just like because I get it. I want to see them like, see, it's bad. But then they take them off and then they go and
yeah,
they feel rewarded. Like, they give themselves a pat on the back.
If they have respected you as a person, they would have believed you in the first place. Like
they wouldn't be like, why would they even be? You're manipulating me with this. So I'm saying I'm in pain, and you're thinking, no, she's exaggerating. Oh, and these happen to be Black women. Oh, interesting.
And this goes back for me that I think one of the easiest things one of the easiest, best tools that I got in my, anti-racism deconstruction journey, or deconstruction of the delusion of white supremacy, was in Ijoma Luo's book, So You Want to Talk About Race. And she just says, when Black people say something's about race, believe them. And it's just like, it's
cheat code.
literally that easy, right? And it's like, that was something very, like, it is a tool, because you can literally just decide that. You can just be like, oh, yeah, when you say, like, when my friend in the Army told me that standards of the height and weight standards were worse for Black women than for white women, I believed her. I hadn't read Fearing the Black Body. I didn't have all the ways to explain how that was true. But
you believed your friend wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Okay. Why would she be?
Why would you even say that if you didn't have something to back that up with, almost,
Like, why would she? We just go around. It's so white centered to think a Black person would just find a white person and just try to make them uncomfortable by making, because I feels like that's kind of what white people experience without giving the perspective to the person speaking. They're just kind of like, oh, you just came here to make it what? Why do you think I'm sharing this with you? Just because, like, that's just what I'm thinking, one. But also, like, if you told a man, yeah, being a woman, blah, 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 and he goes, well, I wouldn't say it's about being a woman necessarily. Would you want to talk to that man ever again? No. Well, I wouldn't. Let me not project. But, like, you don't want to argue with him?
Very specifically, when I was shopping my book, I was like, I will only work with a woman editor. Like, because this book, in large part, is a feminist book about the ways that women are treated in America. And I'm not arguing with a man about it.
And then think about that, like, because you know what that would feel like. Terrible and unproductive. And he wouldn't get anything. He would just get a boost out of it in some way because he's just doing his job or whatever. And it's better for him to be critical. And that puts us in such a shitty position in terms of, like, capitalism of it all, because or even believing in industry. I just don't believe in it. I don't think it's necessary, but it has presented itself as necessary. It's a middleman, just men, just meddling, the pimps of the patriarchy, just being like, no, I'm going to help protect you from your customer. And they have no way to do that. And they're just selling themselves to you like pimps. I just keep seeing white women as, like, the bottom bitch to pimps lately. It's just like, they sell the life and, like, no, it's great. He's so great. I promise. I know he seems very abusive, but it's great. This is a great life. And then you get in and nope, it's not. And he says, well, I'm protecting you. This is scary work. And then you go get in that car with that man, and he's not in the car with you to actually protect you. He's just, around the way looking out. He's a cop. He comes after the thing happens, maybe, and goes, okay, well,
I'm here to protect you.
I'm here now, so don't get in the car with that guy again. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, what did you expect? You're out here doing this stuff. I thought you were here to do something. No, but they're selling the protection, but they are the harm, right? They end up being the one to keep you, and they harm you. And it makes me think of men who sleep with guns under their pillow. Hello, white man, I'm talking to you. Because I've heard that from people in my comments, like, this loaded gun under the pillow business. You're the danger to that woman next to you. And you're saying you're protecting her, right? Like, that gun is to protect your family and your household. You're paranoid, you're dangerous, you're the danger. But that's so culty, right? It's the others that are the problem, not the person telling you that the problem is out there. Why aren't you fixing that? Why aren't you going and addressing those people instead of addressing the potential victims? It's very, America does that. I heard someone say, like, oh, the lessons, it's like saying to women, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. So this way he gets another woman, because he's out there, and he's out there. If, there's going to be someone out there, don't be the one who's out there late by herself without keys. And back from Ted Bundy times, right, they were telling women, don't meddle with your keys by the door. Don't keep your windows open. Don't da-da-da-da-da. Or else I guess you deserve it. I don't know, because it's going to happen to someone. So don't let it be you.
Right.
Right. I didn't like that. It's this, I think about that all the time with the polite and police, right? There's this, we're asking the wrong thing of the wrong people.
And, like, I'm always like, what if just like every time, young women leave the house, they're told to protect themselves. Like, what if every time a man was leaving the house, we just started being like, oh, and hey, babe, please remember, don't rape anybody. Don't, like, if you see a woman walking alone in slutty clothes, don't attack her.
Yeah. You know what? I would be okay with that. We just said, hey, guys, and also leave women alone. Just like, because they might be thinking you might be something. Don't ask a woman for help because
I've been doing this to people. I've been doing this to people in my comments where I'm just like, just because I decide to put my cleavage here doesn't mean you have to comment on it.
No.
That's not actually a thing.
You could just exist or scroll on, but there's this entitlement to comment and it just drives me. It reminds also of the Ted Bundy thing. I remember watching this. It felt like, I think it was on the news, but they went to a prison to discuss with the rapists and murderers in prison, what should women do to avoid? And you guess what the men said? Guess what they said? Submit. Just submit. Don't fight. It's just gonna be worse if you fight. Why are we giving airtime? What? But it feels just like comply. If you don't want the police to kill you, comply with the orders.
And on the flip side, I have spoken about this many times, that there is a whole bunch of us out there who know exactly what it is like to say yes because you're afraid that if you say no, then it will be rape.
Right. And that's still rape, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're taught stranger danger theory, others, scary, overt. With the real danger, the real racism is someone yelling the N-word at you. Nah, nope. The real rape is by a stranger in the bush and he jumps and you're punched and all that stuff. And it's a movie, not the thing that your dad does, not the thing that your uncle does, not the thing that is happening regularly around you. No, we're talking about the big scary black man, the monster guy. There's all this, look over there, look over there, look over there. So scary. And I think true crime does that a lot. The stranger danger, the red scare, the communist, but there's always this, I was gonna say, well, boogeyman, right? And really, the boogies are right on your face. Okay, the boogies, the call is coming from within in the house, and I think that's what they don't, right? Because where are you getting those lessons from, like schools and preachers and the guys where they go to put them in Boy Scouts? Don't do that.
It's where are you getting these lessons, right? And I remember this one time very specifically running on my own in a park, and I saw, on a trail, and I saw a black man sitting at the table, and my heart rate ran up faster. And I literally, this was very shortly after I'd had the conversation with someone, and I said, what do white women do? And he said, notice where you're surprised. Right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, just like trying to listen, trying to pay attention to actual emotions. And I was like, Daniella, like, never in your life have you been assaulted or hurt in any way by a black man?
Right.
Hundreds, right. Probably thousands of times. Well, that's not true. I've been spanked by a black man, but that was inside a call. But hundreds, if not thousands of times in my life have I been hurt by white men. But I knew, right? Like in that moment, that if a man who looked like my husband had been sitting on that table, I wouldn't have had that same like physiological reaction.
And that's really interesting. That's
like, right? Where's the messaging coming from? Right? Like, where is that mess? Like, that's what that taught me. That was like,
that has
where's
to come
that
from
messaging
stories.
Coming from?
Yeah, that's the whole, like when I said, believe in your experiences, not more than you believe in your stories or in the systems, because it's checking in with your nervous system and going, but where is that? Like, no, my history does not warrant that response, but clearly there's something in the history. It's not. And that's all you can do is acknowledge it. And that way growth is happening. But I think that's where white women don't want to see that in themselves so much. But like, you not seeing it doesn't make it not there. And the results of you denying that, it's denying reality again. And that is just setting us all up for failure. It's there.
Yeah.
We see it. So someone's got to claim it. It's not we're not responsible for this one. That's really interesting.
I think the biggest thing I would say I've learned on this journey is like there was a reason that I thought I was a really good person, but I kept being surrounded by mostly white people. And that's because non-white people could see that I wasn't safe. And I haven't had to do anything to make my world more diverse other than work on me.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
You know, and it's like you were talking about how you can like tell with white people, you know, and I'm like, it's not just the color, it's like that I wear, right? Like people can look at me and they can see non-white influences in the things that I'm choosing to like put on my body. And
it's the choices you're making. We can see,
you know, exactly. And it's like, you know, the only thing I can really compare it to was like when I was a lieutenant, and I've always been smart, right? So I thought I was super smart. I thought I knew what I was talking about. I would be prepared. I would do exactly what I was told to do in the briefs, blah, blah, blah. And I look back now and I'm like, yeah, everybody knew that I didn't know what I was doing except for me. And it's like that moment is embarrassing, but also you only get better by sort of like acknowledging those moments. And like, I didn't change people's opinions about me by reaching out to them and trying to convince them that I knew what I was doing. I changed their opinions by learning what I was doing.
Right. You can't control your narrative as much as whiteness tries to tell you you can. You can control your thoughts. And if you can control your thoughts and only keep them positive and keep them smart, then you tell people only positive, smart things. Then they have no choice but to think of you as a positive, smart person. And it turns out other humans get to do whatever they want. And if you follow a script that tells them exactly how they're allowed to think of you, they might not like that, you know? And if it just gives me also like this white people say, oh, I think Black people are just as good as us. You didn't realize we didn't think you were good. So now what? You know, you're over there, we're over here. You're having what you think is a good, smart, great conversation. And we're going, oh, no. Because if a man said, I think women are just as, well, maybe some people still want this, right? You want equality. I think they're just as good as men. At what?
Yes.
What are you guys good at? I'm not getting it. No, thank you. You're on a different page. It's that agreeing thing all over again. I agree with you. I don't know you. That might be a bad thing. You know, you not agreeing with me says nothing about me. It says a lot about you, but I don't know you. So why are you telling me? You know, it's all of this assumption of your perception.
That's what always bothered me about the military that I didn't have the words for back then, was like, but we're asking if women can be as good as men, but why are we assuming that men do it the best when they're the only ones that have had the chance?
Like, we're not zooming out enough. Instead of, you know, it's like you're so zoomed in to, are they as good at them at this and do we need to be here? Is this a good place? Guys, I think we're all suffering, actually. Maybe we just deserved free healthcare this whole time. And most of us wouldn't be here if we had a choice.
And also, like, maybe we don't all have to be as good at the same things to be equal humans.
We're all different.
I always say, like, I am so smart. I am so good at being an expert. Like, I am so proud of what I've done with this book, which is just like hooking everything that I learned over an entire decade into one solid argument.
And I also love that imagery I just got of like a crochet of like,
and I also can't manage my email box. And I also can't remember anything that I have to do if it doesn't exist on my calendar. And I also, like, you know, there's all of these things, which, by the way, told corporate America that I was a terrible employee, right? And like, I'm not, but I only want to do the things that I'm good at.
You know?
I only want to do the things that I'm good at, and I don't have to be good at all the things. And it doesn't, like, it doesn't make me better than my admin who probably couldn't write this book, but can do the things that I can't do. Like the things that I am terrible at, she's really good at. And like, it's always kind of shocking to me, I guess, when people don't realize that like, but and maybe that to me is like the communal aspect of growing up, but like, yeah, but everybody doesn't have to be
we're not all supposed to do the same thing,
all the same things, you know.
So it makes me think of the thing I've also been working on with like hunters and gatherers. Let's take it back there. And what happened was, I think a bunch of the hunters who were supposed to go out there and go do stuff solo started getting together and being like, those lazy gatherers, you know, they should want to be hunters like us. And they formed a hunter hierarchy. And we're like, no, we should all want to be hunters. But like, some people have to be, I don't know, they got really upset about it, got all jealous. Grass is greener at home. We're solo mission, go bring back a lion every month. You can't live on that. Okay, we need the gatherers, and everyone's just
such a good description of the military. I literally talk about this in Uncultured, right? So the number one cadence that everyone sings when they're running or marching in the United States Army is, I want to be an airborne ranger. Okay. And like, airborne is people that jump out of planes. Rangers are
closest to
space. But like, we were at basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Every single person, man and woman, in that basic training class was going to some kind of desk job or some kind of admin role. 0 people in that class were going to become airborne rangers.
But you're just supposed to.
What we put at the very top of the hierarchy, right? And like the infantry, right? We call them grunts.
Wait, infantry?
Yes. They're infants. We literally call them grunts because, and then the culture became that there is a slur, pogue, person other than grunt, which is them saying everybody else is trash. We're the tip of the spear. Well, like, spears don't go anywhere without the shaft, right? Like, somebody's got to be the shaft. And in fact, your infantry is not doing anything without all the other support. But this story is being told that, like, oh, it's just, you know, the one at the top that matters. Like the.
Oh my God. It's terrible.
That was too much for you, Rebecca.
It's just so bad. And it just also reminds me of like when I used to talk about, I remember being like, Christmas trees, right? I didn't grow up with them, but like, is the star the most important part of the tree? Does that actually matter? Like the thing at the top of the tree is the star. That's not really what people are there for. I never care about the star as a person who doesn't have trees. It's the lights, it's the ornaments, it's the intricate, it's all of that you gather around and remembering other. And then it's like America was like, star, the best, the biggest. What's your star? No one cares about that, but then they're just like, heavy star.
Do you actually know about the star versus angel debate? Because that's a whole nother level of whiteness. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Not an angel.
I shockingly do the angel at the top, not the star. And people get very upset, and people get very upset that because I am an atheist, I still put an angel at the top, which is because she's freaking pretty and lights up with LED lights, and it's amazing. And to me, she's just a winter princess, and that's the angel that lives up there.
And people have feelings about that. So, okay, as a person who is expressing feelings about it, but it's more just like, that's so colonial. That's why it's like Christianity feels so colonial.
You're expressing feelings about people having feelings about it. You know, like, right. Why does it matter what I put at the top of my pagan tree that I've decorated with lights? Like,
I guess I don't want to find out. We had a fake tree one year because we lived with this other family who celebrated Christmas, and they learned about Hanukkah, and we just had both. And like, I don't know, my family, we didn't have gifts. It's just like, the fact that there would be a debate about what goes on top of the thing. Meanwhile, I don't even realize that there was.
Yeah.
And you're getting worked up.
Meanwhile, you could have a totally fine childhood without a Christmas tree at all, turns out.
Oh, no mess. You guys are all stressed out about it, bringing trees inside the house. Take a bath. Like, they do everything but taking a shower, guys. But it also makes me understand why. Also because it's like you have no time. That's a luxury. Self-care, right? It's that whole what's good for you is bad for you. I saw this guy who was like, I'm really frugal and I'm so much better than you because I don't spend money. And also here's my weekly shower and like my one towel. And I was like, see, this is where you no stop, you know, but maybe that's colonial of me for getting worked up about it's the
no, because
talking
it
about
goes
it. That's
back
the
to like,
problem.
well, yeah, if your ultimate goal is just efficiency, sure. But maybe your ultimate goal is enjoy the shower, enjoy your life, you know, like
Be okay with your body.
Just be. As you like to say, we're human beings, not human doings.
But I get when you feel like all your, seconds are counted, that you're like, taking a shower would be just for me and I don't have time because I got to suffer and I got to go, blah, blah, blah.
You never know when Jesus is going to come back.
I might be naked and God forbid, Jesus might see my boobs. Can't do that.
Space travel. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to our show today. Please like and subscribe. Go check out Rebecca's Patreon. That's definitely where you get to experience some of her powerful, powerful, powerful language. And if you are interested in pre-ordering Culting of America, which does feature a very powerful essay from Rebecca, you can check that out in the show notes. And
Very
we
proud
will
of
be
it.
back
Go get
next
it.
week. Yay!